Good morning, everybody. You are listening to the podcast that drinks and knows things. I am your host, Glenn of House Dog. Today's episode title, The Monster You Think I Am. Today's date, August the 19th, 2018. We are talking about episode 6 of season 4, Game of Thrones episode title, The Laws of Gods and Men. With me, as always, Ben, a.k.a. Sly of House McLean.
Howdy.
Lucan of House Black Mead.
Hello, people.
Abby, a.k.a. Gertie of House Condescension.
Hello.
Guys, what are we drinking?
I have some Leinenkugel's Honey Weiss tonight.
Honey Weiss?
Honey Weiss?
Honey Weiss.
Honey Weiss.
Ab, what do you got there?
I have Coke and whiskey. I have Dwarves White Label Scotch whiskey.
There you go.
Wow. We are drinking, we've got an Elysian
Dayglow
IPA.
I mean, look at that. Holy cow.
It's a tiger.
You're going to be seeing lasers after this.
Pretty neat.
Pretty neat.
Your unisonly talking was pretty neat.
We've been practicing for weeks.
Figured.
At any rate, we're going to move on to the friend of the show shout out, Lucan.
Friend of the show. We have lots of friends. I'm going to shout out Chloe at Lies and Arbor on Twitter, a Queen of Love and Booty. I'm sorry.
Booty.
That's technically what her Twitter handle is, but she's actually going to be joining us next episode, I believe. So check out what she's got going on with Girls Gone Canon, Drunk ASWAF, all of those things. She's easily findable in the community, and look forward to having her on our show next week.
All right. You too can be featured as our friend of the show by following us at Twitter at Know and Drink. This show, like all of our shows of the podcast that.com, is produced with the love and support of our wonderful imaginary legion. Patrons, learn more at patreon.com/stayimaginary.
Stay imagi.
Stay imagi. So, moving on to news. Current Game of Thrones, A Song of Ice and Fire events. I guess it's that time of year again. At least coming to St. Louis is the Renaissance Festival. So they'll be in town. Open weekend September 15th through October 14th, 2018. 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. rain or shine. Free parking. Now, I'm sure that's just a St. Louis one, but I'm sure you can Google, like Abby, if you wanted to Google the Renaissance Fair wherever you're at. The thing, we went last year, and it was a pretty good time. Pretty Game of Thrones friendly, it seems. So,
yeah, I know. We went twice last year. I went twice, and there was a specifically Game of Thrones
like area
with a fake little Iron Throne and like this really cool map that they had painted onto like this huge canvas wall type deal, and it was really a neat looking map for sure. A lot of, like you said, very very Game of Thrones friendly.
Yes.
I'm sure we have them here, but we get invaded by pirates more often than the Renaissance crowd.
Right. Yeah, so these festivals, there's like, I think 5 or 6 weekends, and they're all different themes. So I think one of them I saw a pirate theme, and there's just all kinds of other themes and stuff.
Yeah, I think the one that I went to last year with Griffin, or Clovis, as he's known on the show, it was the pirate themed weekend, and they had swashbucklers, buccaneers all over the place, and bands singing and stuff like on this big ship, which was
pirate tunes.
It was Pirate-y.
We 300 years of Blackbeard year here.
There you go.
NC. It's his anniversary. Pretty awesome.
Pretty awesome.
There we go.
Mm-hmm.
So you too can find that stuff out if you want to on just look on Google or something. Anyways, previous episode recap, Luke.
All right, so last episode, a new young king was crowned in King's Landing. Daenerys decides to learn the ins and outs of ruling. Sansa finds out that her Aunt Lysa is a crazy mofo. Arya teaches the Hound about praying. The Hound teaches Arya about big swords. Pod learns about cooking a hare. Jon and crew deal with the mutineers at Craster's. And Bran opts to leave the Night's Watch behind.
Cool beans.
I remember that episode.
You remember that? feel like we were just there. Episode number, Season 4, Episode 6. Episode duration, 50 mins. Date aired, May 11th, 2014. Director, Alec Sakharov. Writer, Brian Cogman. Episode description, Benji.
Stannis and Davos set sail with new strategy. Dany meets with supplicants. Tyrion faces down his father in the throne room.
Nice. All right, you guys ready for Quill and Tankard pub trivia?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, no. I forgot about this part of the show.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So I kind of struggled to find a good question. And I think I found one that it's either going to be like the easiest question ever or pretty difficult. I guess it just depends. But in the episode, Oberyn Martell has a conversation with Varys. Where does Oberyn, guess that Varys is from?
Thumbs up when you're ready.
I don't think he's going to accept mine.
How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink, and I know things.
All right, we have an answer?
I got mine in.
So Oberyn Martell, takes a stab, because he does realize that he's from Essos, but I was looking for a specific city, and it is Lys, so looks like Benji and Lucan both said that, right?
First points of the season.
First points on the board.
Now one gets shut out this year.
All right.
And I was not here last week, but I think Luke asked me the question afterwards, and I got it right. So
Yeah,
So you get the points?
I'm glad you brought that up because it was like a no doubt he got it. But that's going to be up to you guys to decide if you would like to award
No,
him
you're,
points.
you're the host of the show.
What was the question?
like when they're crowning Tommen or whatever, what are the three things that he says?
Which of the three
the
seven is he named in the light of? And he rattled them off, all three of them.
Warrior, Crone, and Smith.
See, now he's listened to the episode, so it's...
I mean, we might as well give it to Glenn because...
You're better off
take
giving it to
points.
Glenn than just letting me get more points for it.
Is this season 4? Is it
It's not
up-to-date?
updated.
Okay.
But now here's the thing,
It's
because
got
that's the thing
one.
with Luke's point that he got for stumping.
Well, see, that's the thing.
Yes.
I would lose my point, and it would go to Glenn.
Oh, then
Like
I'm
it.
okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm
Reggie, we
fine.
have no
I'm fine
horse
with
in the
it.
car other than Luke less points.
I'm fine with it. So, season 4, episode 5, I will update that right now to...
Since we did the same thing to Abby 2 weeks ago.
I know, right?
Right.
Right, and that was kind of the mentality is I came in a little bit late, got the answer, but still count. So, 0 on mine, 1 on Glenn's. Updated. Let's move along.
Moving on up. So we are going to rock and roll here. Opening credits, Peter Dinklage, King's Landing, Dreadfort, Winterfell, Wall, Bravos Marine. Is it
Bravos is new,
Bravos Marine, no comma?
Coin and Titan.
The coin and the Titan.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I guess, the Titan that's kind of moving or whatever when they kind of pan, and then the coin that's going around the bend.
Around the Iron Bank that's
Sure.
kind of developed in there, which is pretty cool.
Just around the riverbend.
So we are going to move to Bravos with the Titan and the coin. Caps under A. Stannis, Davos, Tycho Nestorius. Is that how you say his name? Tycho Nestorius.
Tycho Nestorius.
Tycho. Stannis and Davos are kept waiting by the bankers, only to have their offer rejected, until the short-fingered man makes a plea. Benji.
Look at Davos using his fancy logic and shit. You know, Tywin's old, and what the fuck are you going to do when he dies?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's a valid point.
And I think it was probably a saving grace at the time, because they were not about to, like, jump ship that easy with Stannis' cause, and they're kind of calling him out and stuff, and Davos kind of saves the day, it seems. Luke.
So clearly the bankers here are pretty cold in their response to Stannis. It's like they're really impressing Stannis, I think, with how cold they are, because we know how like blunt he is on things. And I think he's a little frustrated, but not like at all surprised by their pragmatism
Right.
here.
They take no bullshit, right?
Yeah, I feel like he almost kind of respects that out of him. Like, well, I mean, you make a good point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at the same, he barely says anything either. I think he's just pretty much going on whatever they know,
Mm-hmm.
not really making a good case for himself until, Davos made a good case for him, but Stannis didn't really do a whole lot to market himself,
And he didn't
I
want
guess.
to be there, honestly. You know, Stannis didn't want to, go to the bank. He didn't want to buy Saul swords. So
I don't
he just
want to
there
go to the
because
bank.
it was an idea from
Take it to the bank.
Davos.
Right. Yep.
All right, Gertie of House Condensation.
My thought is that is a very large statue, and I'm guessing that's the Titan you
That
were all
is
talking
the
about.
Titan.
And I guess if you're sailing directly under it, you can probably see the Titan's balls.
Titan's balls. It's actually, they use it as a defense because that's the only entrance to the port, and they use it as kind of a what do they call those? Not like over the portcullis of a castle, where like the oil gates that they drop hot oil and stuff from. They do that from basically the Titan of Bravos protects the port.
Right.
Of Bravos.
He like shits on the ships and stuff
He
like that.
shits on the ships. That is
on the
absolutely true.
That's 100% true.
That is 100% true.
Yeah, I think we emailed Dave and Dan that one time and asked about that, and they sent back, yeah, he does shit on the ships.
Sure enough. He's a shit shipper.
All right, let's move on to the next scene. Salad door San, Davos, some whores. The salad tells an old joke. Davos pays for past debts and some future ones too. Luke.
You are not my friend, my friend. It's just a great line here because, he's kind of pulling him into doing this job, and he didn't have great luck at the Blackwater already.
You're
and
an asshole.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna steal anyone's note if they've got it, where he basically gives where Davos sends Salvador San's money to for him.
Yeah. All right, so Abby.
I think she's off,
Vacant.
handling something.
Good note, Benji.
Good.
Going into Luke's point, just the good stuff was given to your wife, so he basically said, yeah, I already dropped off your payment to your family and everything. And, he looks at the whores salads with, and they're like giving him a look like, like we care he's married. They're just like, we're getting paid too, and you just add it to our purses.
Right. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah, here took a lot of very careful.
I noticed. I flipped through all of them just to make, because there were a couple areas where I was like, man, let's just double check this so we don't get reported.
Yeah. Some nudity. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. That was going to be one of my questions. My question is like, how many nipples do we see in this scene?
7.
7 nipples.
I've got nipples, Greg. Could you build me?
All right.
I actually didn't know the answer because of the screenshots.
All right, Abby, you ready or no?
Sure, ready,
We're
ready,
talking-
willing.
Yeah,
What are we talking about?
Talking about Salad door San. Salad tells the old joke. Davos pays for his past debts. Some future ones too.
So from the screenshots, I think we're talking about when he goes. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so I'm just really excited that what it could mean that Davos and Stannis, like with money, so that's exciting.
Some keys.
Some funding for their ideas. Yeah.
I mean, up until this point, they haven't had anything other than basically people backing them because of their belief in them. And I feel like his claim, Stannis's, is stronger than Renly's ever was. And I get why the North was behind Robb, because they're their own little faction, band together. But Stannis, as far as like the Iron Throne goes, I think he has basically can back up what he says. So that makes me excited they have money now. And I don't know if this has been said, but I thought it was absolutely hilarious when it said, "You're not my friend, my friend." It was just...
Did you laugh out loud?
I LOL'd for real. I even had to
What a
put that in
loller.
the notes. LOL.
Right. So I was reading about this episode, and I think somebody was saying that apparently the Iron Bank, they didn't give him like an insane amount of money. They just gave him like enough to like for food and like to pay, for the ships to transfer their men from Dragonstone to wherever. So I think they just kind of gave him a little bit just to see what could happen, and then like if they would be able to pay him back, almost like a small loan, or something like
test run kind of deal.
Run. Right.
It's not actually a blank check.
Right. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and we'll see where the money goes.
One final quick note before we jump areas. This guy right here. Does anyone know who that is?
Tech Mobile.
You're talking Hector?
Yes.
Is he from the Potter?
He is not from Harry Potter. He is Mark Gatiss, who is one of the writers on Doctor Who and the Sherlock series with
cool.
Benedict Cumberbatch, and he plays Mycroft Holmes, Sherlock's brother. So he's a
he had a brother.
kind of a big deal.
Right, and he's been in other stuff
He has been in other stuff
outside
as
of
well.
Game of Thrones.
Correct.
Good.
But shout out to Mark Gaddis.
Good reporting.
Thanks,
Can I
Glenn.
throw out one more thought I had? I'm sorry, my son walked in. I had to mute everything. This goes back to the scene before, and I don't know if it was mentioned, but I think it's really funny that it's Davos who's like, how old is Tywin? He's so freaking old. I think he looks almost as old as Tywin does. Am I the only one?
It's like the pot calling the kettle black.
Yes, like, you are all kind of old.
You think
Stannis
Stannis?
looks as old as Davos?
Davos definitely looks as old. I think Stannis, in the realm of apparently, I don't know, 67 is deathbed years. I mean, Stannis has like 5 more till we're there.
No, canon
I'm
wise,
just
I
saying-
understand. Stannis
yeah.
is only about 38 here.
Right.
He's in his prime.
His prime.
He's in
Maybe early 40s. So yeah.
Right. I don't think necessarily it's a Davos v Tywin. I think it's more of a Stannis v Tywin, and he's kind of talking on his behalf about, well, that motherfucker's old, and
I know.
Stannis isn't as old.
I mean, we didn't really touch much on it, but like Davos really does make a pretty good couple points here. You know, he's like he doesn't just say he's going to piggyback; he fucking does it. And he shows him his chopped off fingers, and I can't believe they actually cut off the actor's fingers for this scene. But
My fingers.
you know, that's called commitment.
So I guess-
dedication.
I
What a
guess
guy.
the thumb is not considered a finger because they didn't cut
Correct.
that off.
Just the last
So-
knuckle of each. It actually looks like it's the first 2 knuckles, the way it looks right there. But I'm not going to be picky.
Right. So it just kind of had to suck having a son growing up, and you couldn't. You think he could play catch very well,
I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah.
He's got 4 less fingernails to clean.
Fewer.
or do you think he's
Fewer. That's exactly right. Thank you.
you think he's a lefty maybe, or he catches left?
I mean, maybe the wife is a little more disappointed than the son. We'll just leave it there, but we'll see.
All right, let's move on
Jojen Train?
to the Dreadfort. Caps B.
Caps B.
If you put it on the teleprompter, Ron Burgundy will read it.
Anything you put, he will read it.
Yara, Reek, Ramsay, Miranda, Kraken, and flayed men. Yara attempts a rescue mission. Ramsay's night goes from good to great when he's interrupted. Gertie.
Well, when obviously you see Yara, and I knew that's who it was, but as it's almost like a voiceover where she's talking, you're seeing scenes and you hear her speech.
Mm-hmm.
She sounds a lot actually like Melisandre.
Okay, like
'Cause
her voice does?
I don't know if I wasn't paying attention closely like the first time, and I was like, wait, what's going on here? And then I was like, no, that is Yara. She just sounds like her. That was my thought. And moving on from there, right away, like, why not kill the dogs?
Just while they're in the pens.
Yes, like,
kill
they're
'em.
barking. Just kill them.
In and out. She's just trying to grab them and go.
I know,
Right, without a trace.
but he does kind of freak out right there at the beginning, like, even before anybody gets in there. Like, I don't know. Those dogs are vicious. And maybe it's my thought because we've seen what they've done in the past, why I'm like, kill the dogs.
Yeah.
But
I think necessarily she wasn't really thinking that she was going to be dealing with dogs, because she's like, take me to your dungeons. And they're like, he's not in the dungeons. Well, then where is he? He's in the kennels.
Mm-hmm.
crazy.
Not necessarily thinking that, oh, I'm going to be dealing with fucking dogs, but it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, she could have easily just kind of killed him right quick. But, oh well.
So,
Yeah.
Abby, your point is, like, after they have their kind of fight, and he goes to release the dogs, and then she books for it, right?
Yes.
So, like, she had already seen how kind of messed up Theon was. I mean, she ends the scene with, my brother's dead. I think it just kind of turns into, well, they just lost a couple men, we just lost a couple men. Like, we can probably
he bit her.
we can probably manage this,
He's a
but
biter?
like right now, where with what she's seeing out of Theon, it's kind of like, I mean, is it really worth
He
the
doesn't wanna be-
potential
he doesn't wanna be
casualties?
safe.
Right, he's going to be fighting us himself anyway, like he already was. So I mean, it doesn't seem like it'd be that difficult to take a couple dogs out. I don't know.
Take out the dogs.
But
Ugh.
in the end of the day, she wouldn't have gotten back what she wanted anyways.
Right.
It wasn't worth the fight.
Sure.
And you think take out the dogs and then take out Ramsay and the rest of his men.
Mm-hmm.
But her men are all like in armor and they're like shirtless. I mean, at least Ramsay is.
And he looks so
Like-
fucking badass.
Yeah, I mean, he's crazy. Yeah, he did look pretty badass, but like, I don't know. You talk the Hound is like, look, and he had armor and a big sword. Guess who wins? And in this case, that's not what happened.
Because sometimes that doesn't happen.
Yep. Crazy.
All right, Benji, go ahead with your note.
Well, that first one was God Ramsay's so badass. He really is comes in shirtless, 2 daggers, and just tears shit up. Also, it's heartbreaking seeing Yara find her broken brother. You know, he's a broken man. You know, I know that's one thing we don't get in the show is that speech. But by purest definition, that's what Ramsay is. He has nothing else to live for. He's afraid of everything. He just
You mean not Ramsey?
Reek. Sorry,
Oh,
Reek.
okay,
Yeah,
sorry. Okay.
Rico.
I was confused.
No,
Uncle Rico.
And third note is Miranda was the number 7 because we only saw 1 in that shot. So that's
the nip.
That was the half a set.
Okay, Luke.
So Yara's speech when they're kind of sailing in, rowing in, I think it's pretty solid. Another pretty good speech in this.
Yeah, she just reads the letter that Ramsay sent to
Balon.
Yeah.
And then she kind of at the end she's like, you know, if they can do this to us, to your prince, to my brother, with with impunity, then the word Ironborn means nothing. And
means nothing.
It seems like she is very, very good at rallying the men around her,
the troops.
And I mean, clearly they go in, you know, balls to the wall,
guns blazing,
ready to do this. And Benj, you didn't quite get a screen cap of it, but it's right in this spot right here. When they go over the wall, it's the same set that they used for Blackwater when Stannis goes over the wall. They just dressed it up a little bit different.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But when they go through like the battlements there, they just like added a couple stones in different places, but it's the exact same set that they used.
It could have been the same builder though.
Not gonna lie, I was more focused on getting this shot, and
that's a good one.
It took me so long because this is like a quarter of a second.
So,
but I wanted that one. But you're right, I should have that battlements.
Yeah, maybe next time get like that one and then go back to the Blackwater one and see if they're just compare and contrast, I guess. All right, let's move on. Reek and Ramsay time. Ramsay rewards his pet with a bath and a bit of role playing. All right, go ahead, Benji.
Ouchies! Just seeing all the scars and shit on Theon. Luke, if you want to jump ahead a couple photos, when he, dresses him down and has him, stripped, you see everything he's been put through. 2 more, right in these couple.
He's kind of beat up a bit.
Yeah, they're just nasty, just scars and scratches, just everything. And you can only imagine what that dude had to go through, and seeing his reaction to Yara showing up, you could tell he's like, I didn't want to go with him. Right. Another shot of a broken man.
Right. And I like the book does a pretty good job to like kind of illustrate that he's like almost unrecognizable by like how much he's just beat up so much, and like he gets gray hair and he's got random fingers and toes missing and stuff like that, and broken teeth and gray hair, like all this stuff, and like people couldn't pick him out of a lineup if they could, like if he committed a crime or something. Oh, Theon Greyjoy did that or whatever. They couldn't pick him out of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
Luke, go ahead.
Go ahead and skip me for now. My workbook kicked me out for some reason. I'm trying to
That's not fair.
Get signed back in. So unless someone wants to read my note for me, and then I'll talk about it.
Those creatures that came in the night wanted to take you, and you didn't let them.
Yeah, I know Benji kind of touched on that too, and it's interesting to see how he's using this almost as like an opportunity to get his mentality, psychological claws deeper into Theon here, like using the failed rescue attempt and just like rewarding how Theon acted. It's just, it's not going very well for old boy.
Oh boy. Abby?
I just think Ramsay is so evil, and I hadn't really put this together until watching these scenes. He did this to Theon because he betrayed Robb. His father has become a traitor to the same cause that Theon was a traitor to. I don't know.
I will interject here, Ab, with this.
Yep.
He did this to Theon because he wanted to do this. It had nothing to do with Robb. It had nothing
right.
I see what your point is.
That was the initial justification. Right.
But that's what you do to traitors, or like that's how he's gotten away with it or justified it to others. But his father did the same thing. Not that I think his dad's gonna suffer the same fate because of who he is or his situation. I just thought it was kind of funny.
Right. Anybody got anything else?
So at the end of this, Ramsay basically says, "I need you to do a job for me, right?
A salad.
And I need you to play a role. I need you to be someone that you're very much not."
Yeah, that was.
And he's
ridiculous.
Like, "Who? Theon Greyjoy." God damn it. Oh man, that's
like,
it's
yeah.
not going to be easy
Like
for
he's
him.
just kind of playing along, like, oh, I'm giving you, a treat or whatever, like, and just like builds him up just to break him down again.
Mhm.
Someone that you're definitely not.
Someone that you are clearly not.
Clearly not. Don't even think about being that guy, but you're gonna have to be in for a minute. Okay, let's move on to Marine, and that of course is Caps C.
Caps C.
Drogo, herder, and some goats. Drogo cooks himself up a little snack, and this is the song that never ends. It goes on and on, my friend.
Yeah.
We started singing, not really knowing what it was.
And we'll continue singing it forever, just because.
Just because, right? You got it. Yeah.
I get it.
You should start the podcast that
Never ends.
I'm not going to take your glory, Glenn. That's your show.
I mean, you got all the good ideas. I'll let you have this one. It's a treat.
Thanks. You're going to let me be somebody that I'm clearly not.
At any rate, why don't you go ahead and say your note?
So, harkening back to the Salvador San old pirates joke, good thing this kid was wearing brown pants.
He's already wearing brown pants. Mr. Brown Pants.
Mr. Brownstone Pants. Because, yeah. Abby, I'll let you run away with this one here.
I just have, oh my, that's a dragon. A big, old, doesn't look like a baby dragon. Thing's huge. I was surprised
He's sitting on
that
a
it was
cliff.
as large
Just
as it
comes
was.
Right up.
This kid's just like, oh, I'm just, fucking chilling.
Relaxing. Hard day's work of herding the goats.
Doesn't he, like, toss a rock off the cliff or something? And then it's just like, oh, you summoned a
You summon
demon.
the beast. Good God.
Have they ever named the dragons?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In the show, she said them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
when they were when they were very little, like second season. I think it was at Karth. She was like, "Oh, Drogo, Dracarys, and this Rhaegal and Viserys."
Drogon.
Yeah, it just doesn't explain it very well, is all.
She doesn't
like,
use them as often as I think they should, but that's because they don't show them all that often.
Yeah.
So,
I think there's a lot of CGI and a lot of expenses.
mm-hmm.
But so Dracarys means like blow
It
fire.
means dragon
like,
fire
okay.
in Old Valyrian.
That's the only thing I've ever
Or
feel like
High
I've ever
Valyrian,
picked
sorry.
up. So I don't know.
Yes. So the black and red dragon is Drogon. This is the largest of the three.
Gotcha.
It's a big boy.
Big boy.
All right,
The little
Debbie,
goats.
Debbie, you got anything on this?
Other than it's a dragon.
It's a
Holy
dragon.
my.
No doubt about that. Benji, go ahead.
That's a badass shot, if I do say so myself. But no, I love that picture. Both of those, just lighting them up, and it's how the kid survived. I'm kind of surprised, but very interesting. I love seeing Drogo carry the sheep off in the distance.
So Drogon did not go to Brienne cooking class with Pod.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, clearly you didn't skin the goat.
Exactly.
Right. Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's where Pod learned how to cook.
Yeah, maybe.
You never know.
How to cook for a dragon.
How to cook your dragon.
How to cook your dragon.
How to cook for your 40 dragon. How to cook humans. How to cook for humans. How to cook for 40 humans. Anybody can name the reference?
No.
Come on.
No.
Simpsons, Treehouse of Horrors 3, I believe.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not really a big Simpsons man.
Not really a fan of anything.
All right.
I've decided at this point.
Anybody got anything else?
No. Good.
We do have
good
was that,
graphics.
was that Swarmy Lucard that I saw?
Smarmy.
Swarmy.
Smarmy.
Swami.
Yeah, I made those refrigerator letters. We didn't have two M's, so I used an upside down W, and Glenn's giving me shit for it.
Yep.
So it's Swarmy.
Right. Basically, for the kids at home, Luke is trying to live vicariously through this little doll. What are they called? Funko
Pops.
Funko Pop dolls with the big eyes. So that's kind of neat. Let's move on to the next scene. We have Danny, Herder, Jorah, opening a beer, Missandei, Barristan, Hisdar, Zoe Lorak. Danny pays for Drogo's lunch. Hisdar, Zoe Kravitz, begs to bury his father. So I guess that's a pun on. He kind of looks like Lenny Kravitz. Am I right?
Am I right? He does.
Yes, and he's the one that Abby, if you didn't notice, was the one I was pointing out 2 episodes ago, standing on the battlements or whatever, as Danny flung the crates of chains.
Nah, I didn't.
Right, he was in the peanut gallery, I guess.
But like he was prominent, so we dubbed him his Darzo Kravitz at that point. Well,
His Darzo Kravitz. American woman. Okay, we are going to start off with Abby.
Kids are expensive. Even dragon kids, always making problems. You gotta pay for. Good mom move. You just gotta pony up sometimes.
Right, that's your kid. You're responsible for them. So
Yep.
Got to pay the dues, I guess.
Yep.
Ben.
is it justice to answer one crime with another? Maybe not. Maybe go fuck yourself. That's kind of where Danny was falling down with it. And I do gotta say, I like this better, this version of his Dar better than the book. He's a little more relaxed and chill. He's not as pompous. He's a little bit more relatable.
You got a fro.
That's what it is. It's the fro that I can relate
fro
to.
That really sets them apart as far as the show. Luke, go ahead.
Yeah, so Danny clearly chose last episode that she was going to stay and rule and learn how to do that. That's what this is. She's not enjoying it, clearly. She's paying for goats. She's dealing with forcing herself to do things that she doesn't want to do. And at the end, she says, how many more of these are there? And like 202 more for today. And she's like, God damn it. And it's just kind of funny, it's almost like flashes of what King Robert probably went through his first day in the chair, just being like, it's a lot more fun getting the chair than actually fucking having it. So it's interesting to see that she's kind of going in a similar mentality. Right. I could see that going there.
Or if you've seen the movie Bruce Almighty, whenever he gets, I guess, the powers of God for a little bit or whatever, and he gets basically set up as an email address of these prayers or whatever it was, and then he's just getting one after the other, and then he's like, you know what? How about we just do a 2-all? And then everybody's prayers are answered and stuff, and everybody wins the lottery. The Buffalo Sabres win the Stanley Cup, and all this jazz. So it was kind of similar to that, as far as you got all these requests and stuff like that. And it just seems like there's not enough time to hear everybody out, I guess. One note
This whole book is about time.
It's about time.
Sorry, Glenn.
One note I want to bring up is that Hizdar Zokravitz, he's bringing up that look, you killed my father, and then Danny's like, well, he was one of the fucking jack-offs that did what they did or whatever, and he's like, yeah, but he stood up to them, but was just not able to have his voice heard or whatever. He was against all the slaves and all that,
murdering the children,
all that, and then it just kind of goes
but
back
not the
to
British children.
Whenever Barristan says to Danny, maybe it's a smarter play, to answer justice with or however he says it, injustice with justice, or vice versa. And then she kind of headed him off at the pass and say, no, you answer justice with justice. And then she did what she did. This is just an example of a repercussion of that. What do you guys think about that?
Your question right there is, I kind of tossed back and forth how I felt about her letting him bury his father, because yes, I think the quote you're talking about is when he says, answer injustice with mercy. And this was merciful here. She allowed him to take him down. And part of me is that's the right call, because, he didn't want these things, but he's still associated with these people. Obviously, Danny came in to conquer. I don't know what the right answer is. I just think it's
guilty by association.
Yeah, where do you fall on this? It's hard. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And
reference.
Hey, or the rest of the world, I think.
No.
But yeah, because I went over and over trying to come up with a note for that part of this whole scene, and I just couldn't. That's why I went with Kids Are Expensive, the first one, because it was easier. I don't know where I fall.
I feel like she makes the right choice. She gives a little, but doesn't give everything. And still kind of shows that she respects Hizdar for kind of approaching her the way that he did. He's not coming in as a total douche and just being shouting and being unrealistic. He's like, I can't speak for, the slavery or the children. I had no part in that whatsoever. My father stood against it. And he gets, in this image here, he gets down on his knees and is like, I'm just asking you as a son who loved his father, can we do something about this desecration that's going on?
Hatchet.
or the corpses, the rotting corpses. And it's nice to see that she gives some leniency without giving too. I don't think she gives too much.
Right, it's kind of innocent enough to not that big of a deal just to bury the one guy, but it is something. It's almost like I wouldn't say win, but kind of a win for both sides.
There is no winner. I mean,
Right.
They both lose equally. How about that?
Fair enough. All right, anything else?
No, good
Then
scene.
we are going to move on to King's Landing.
Trojan.
Trojan.
All aboard the Trojan train. Next stop, King's Landing.
All right. Oberyn, Mace, GMP, Varys, Cersei, Tywin, and Cap D. Talks with Danny's military advisors, and WMDs. Who we up?
Thank you.
Me? I don't really have any notes. I'm just kind of going off what you guys say. So, Luke, why don't you go?
So we find out that there's a 100 silver stag bounty for the Hound's pelt. You know, they're basically saying, what's it going to take to get, some random soldier to go and try to take him out? And they're like, 10 silvers. And Tywin's like, let's make it 100. We need to kind of fix this issue because he just killed 5 of our men. So
I believe fuck the king was.
I believe fuck the king was as mentioned.
And you notice that no one mentioned his little mate with him.
Right, he doesn't say anything, does he?
Yeah. Now I wonder if Varys had gotten that info and just held off on it, or
Yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of unremarkable. They don't know who it is.
Right.
I mean,
There's a little guy with him.
there's some small chap.
All right, Abby.
I like right when the scene opens up, they have Tyrell, I believe. Is it Mace Tyrell?
Yep.
And he tells Tywin, thank you so much for allowing me, blah, 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 blah. And instead of even being all right, later for that, Tywin just goes straight into, the trials today. Just totally cuts him off.
I don't care.
Small talk is exhausting. I agree with these things. So I liked that. And then later on, he, I don't know, he was the master of ships. I guess that's the job of the person who gets ink and quill and paper.
Yeah.
I guess that's the ship guy job.
Shipman.
I love that Oberyn was like, so what, am I the master of something now? Coins or
What's
ships?
my title?
Yeah.
And Mace is like, oh, well, Tywin and I already have discussed that I'm going to be the master of ships.
Yeah.
It's just like, Oberyn's like, I was fucking, I don't care. You're the only one that gives a shit.
My other thing, let me make sure. So
It's
Oberyn,
hilarious.
he is my MVP of this entire episode. I thought I was going to like Oberyn. Now it has been solidified. And right here in this scene, he says something about, are all these council meetings going to be so early? I was up late last night. I don't like early mornings. I don't like small talk. I mean, these are my kind of men here. I love it.
All right, Ben.
kind of going along with it. My note is Mace is such a pompous moron. Luke, if you go to maybe 3 or 4 pictures over after Tywin, ask him to get him. Fetch him quill and paper. That look right there. He's like, I'm doing something to be useful and helpful.
Look how
And,
beneficial it is for me to be
Oberyn
here.
and even GMP is like, God, this guy is it really that fucking thick.
This
Is he
fucking guy.
stupid?
I got a job.
Yeah. Oh, your teacher's pet. Yeah, good for you. But
I
then
can
my
get the
other
best
note to
ink.
it is going to the actual conversation they were having about Dany. Cersei being so thick-headed, she's across the world, and she has 3, small dragons. How much army does she actually have? And blah blah blah. And Oberyn's like, she has the Unsullied, all of the fucking Unsullied. They know how to fight. Not so great in bed.
Yeah, that was hilarious. He seems genuinely impressed that he said he's seen them fight in the field, and they're very, very impressive. Less so in the bedroom. That's their great Oberyn line.
But is she really that thick-headed to not be concerned with a chick who has a legitimate claim to the throne, with 3 dragons and the best army in the world?
Right, it's a legitimate threat, and just to kind of brush it off would be kind of silly, because, what if they do cross? What are you going to do if they cross the Narrow Sea? And, I mean, we'll have to talk to Riley on this one, because I know it takes years, if not decades, just
Millennia
to cross.
at this point.
Just to be able to cross the Narrow Sea, so...
Yeah, I mean, it was different when Robert was kind of freaking out about going to kill, the whore's pregnant. Like, when he's freaking out about that, yeah, I mean, she doesn't have dragons, right? I mean, she just got sold to, in their eyes, a complete barbarian who is likely going to kill her. Like,
Right.
Like that's not the point where. That's why, like, I was like at the point, like at that point, Ned is like, this is not a big deal. Like, let's not worry about this.
Right.
But like, if it was at this point now, I think Ned's tune would change a little bit.
Right.
Well, she was pregnant with an actual baby. Like, when these are dragons. So Robert wanted to kill her for being pregnant with a human child who needed probably, at least in this realm, 12 good years to grow up before he was scary. These dragons are, we just saw it, ginormous.
Yeah, that was my point I was going to make. Is just, they say they're small, they're juvenile dragons, but we just saw Drogo looking like a fuck beast.
Pretty big, and maybe he's not fully grown, but pretty damn big.
Well, the thing, dragons never stop growing. So.
So, Abby, I don't know if you can see the chat, if you're in it or not, but Bernie the Burnt, she says she's cleaning and watching, but Abby, show Oberyn is awesome, and the first guy on the show that she had a crush on, so.
Well, mine went to Tywin, just because I do. I like old men. But Oberyn's
Old
number
man.
2, I think, for sure.
Second place.
Oberyn's like number 3 for me.
Oberyn's number 3.
All right. Anything else? Next scene. Oberyn, Varys, Cappy, Cape. They discuss travels and desires. Abby?
They got me thinking, like, really, if you have no desire, what an interesting thought that brings up. Like, the thought process behind it. I feel like everything is driven by desire. And you desire the throne, you desire women, you desire men, like whatever it is, it's because you want something. If you don't have that, that's a weird world to live in, I think.
Right. And I think Oberyn like kind of jumps to conclusions on this one a bit because he's like, oh, there's gonna be like little boys there, and then Varys is like, well, I'm not interested. Oh, really? Little girls? I didn't. I guess whatever floats your boat. Oh, I'm not interested in that either.
Yeah, I love that shake. They have little boys. Nope. The girls? Nope.
Yeah. So we have an asexual eunuch. It's almost like, was that really that big of a, like, for like Tyrion, that would be like devastating, right? Or like Oberyn being cut. Theon. Wow. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, regardless of the physical pain and all of that to deal with, it doesn't seem like the emotional, like, oh my god, that side of it wouldn't be quite as bad for Varys.
Right. He gets off to information.
Oh god, you just got some information.
Go ahead, Ben.
It was also when he was like super young, I think maybe 6 or 7, so before puberty, before
never got a chance to mature.
So it's understandable to become kind of Grey Worm style. You get them early.
You never really knew of the desires and stuff like that. Yeah. All right. Anything else?
No.
No. Next scene, we see Jaime, Tyrion, Tommen, Tywin, Cersei, Mace, Oberyn, Marjorie, Capef. Tyrion is brought to court to answer for his crime. Ben.
Of course he's going to have you fucking chained. You're accused of killing the goddamn king. It's like, yeah, you're a dwarf. Yeah, you can't run that fast. But technically, they think you might have done it. So, perception is reality. Put your ass in chains. Sorry, dude.
Sorry about it. Let me guess, Luke.
So, right at where the screenshot is here, Jaime walks into the cell and Tyrion's sitting there. He's like, "Oh, let me guess, I've been pardoned." It's just there's a lot of really, really funny things in this episode. A lot of good quips. Let me guess, I've been pardoned. You're here to let me go.
Oh, thank God. That was my pardoning. All right, Abby.
I thought Tommen was very kingly. Other than that, I mean, obviously it's in to keep control Tywin's best interest that Tommen doesn't have a part in this and that he does. But to me, Tommen is still a young boy, and that's the right call. Let the grown-ups do the work, I guess. But I thought he did a very good job. I think I'm going to like King Tommen, maybe.
Kind of introducing, what's going on, and then, well, I'll give the power to these people over here. Kind of like the MC of the event.
Mm-hmm. The MC, yeah. And here's your master of ceremonies, Tywin Lannister. Give him a round of applause, folks.
Master of ceremonies, oh my gosh.
All right, we move on next one?
So there was the quick line in there that, he addresses the formal accusation. Tywin's like, you're accused of this. Did you do it? And Tyrion's like, nope. He's like, so who did? Or so what happened? He choked on his pigeon pie. So he wants to blame the bakers or the pigeons. Just leave me out of it. It's just great stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty good. Like, he's always good with the quips, and yeah. I mean, you could easily blame the pigeons and put them on trial. Or
Let's bring in a pidge.
Bring a pidge, see what they have to say.
Pidgeridoo.
All right, next scene. Meryn fucking Trent, GMP, Cersei, Varys, Kepka.
To explain the cap references here, in our slideshow, we have them labeled as captions. So those are
I guess it's caption F.
That's the caption G series. So we're on to the G's.
On to the SGs. They give testimonies of aggression made against the late king, Luke.
So Pycelle had the necklace that they said they found it on Dantos, and basically states that the Strangler was definitely one of the poisons that Tyrion took from his stores.
The residue was...
Right, and it's just a little very damning information. Like, a little different from the books. It's very, very straightforward that, yeah, he had all of the tools, no doubt, kind of thing. And here is the murder weapon. Here is how it happened. Here's the guy that did it. Like, it's all these things stack up really, really badly for Tyrion because of the way this goes.
Right. Okay, Abby?
So I just think it's really interesting the way, like, words get twisted. We're seeing half-truths here, almost just like snapshots as we would today in our own news where somebody gets quoted and the entire situation isn't explained. You just have to love the justice system, or like trial by media that goes on even in our country. On all sides, you can basically take anybody's statement and frame it to make it sound the way you want it, with the context being put whatever way to sway it. So I just thought that was really interesting to watch. And now this is where my questions come in. So GMP has Sansa's necklace, correct?
Correct.
How? Because she had it when we saw Microfinger.
Right. It was... He took...
Microfinger threw it off the boat onto Dantos when he sent him, after he put a bolt through him.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess they found the boat.
He breaks one of them
okay.
open and then throws it
that makes more
onto
sense. I'm like, wait, is this like a... All right, never mind.
I had this made the other day. Doesn't really mean anything. Dink.
Chuck.
See ya.
Gotcha.
Not necessarily like Rose from the Titanic when she threw her...
The heart of the sea.
Oh.
Sure, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because that was basically Littlefinger's way of saying, hey, Dantos had something to do with this, because he knew he'd be found, I think, personally. I think he knew he'd be found, so Dantos had something to do with this. And,
Thereby Sansa too?
Yeah, Sansa had something, and then, hey, wait, Tyrion's going to get blamed, so this is all Littlefinger trying to...
Who's Littlefinger?
But it's going to make, like, the love of his life, his weird little life, be in question. Like, why would he do that? I'm so
groom, so that way she has nowhere to go.
But to run, she can't trust anybody. He's only safe one. Oh, he's
Safe
the
haven.
worst.
Yeah, I agree with your, like, the twisted words. Definitely everything you see here is just taken out of context. Especially like Meryn fucking Trent is saying his story, and then he's like, look, why don't you say the whole story of what Joffrey was doing to Sansa?
Right.
When he stepped in and, kind of slapped Joffrey around a little bit. And it just goes with each one, and then after that one, Tywin's like, no outbursts by you or whatever, like, so he really doesn't have a lot of, like, rebuttals, if you will. Everything is just, all this stuff is going up against him, and, like, the one I thought was very interesting was the Cersei one, because she was saying, like, the debt, there'll be a day when you'll know the debt is paid or whatever, and that was basically Tyrion in response to Raz getting kind of taken away as the whore, and he just had to play his cards close to his face, and acted really upset, and that was just all an act, basically. But it's going against him now.
Exactly. Same with Varys. Varys told the truth. And Varys wasn't super damning about him, but with it didn't look good. And the one note I had was, I find it odd that he was only allowed to question Varys. Give him one question. Isn't the accused allowed some sort of rebuttal questioning. I mean, I know this is medieval times and all that, but it's like you have the right to face your accuser and question them, so, but when he asked him, do you remember what you said to me, the night I saved us from the Blackwater? And Mary's response is, sadly, my lord, I'd never forget a thing. It's pretty ominous, because he does remember everything.
I feel like at this point, the Varys being involved is kind of the biggest hit to Tyrion's psyche on it. That's kind of like, to him, the most damning thing. Like, Pycelle, he knows that's, Tywin's creature. Even though Cersei wants him out, killed, whichever way it goes. Meryn fucking Trant, like, he's a piece of shit. Like, we know that. Yeah. And, but Varys, like, Tyrion really thought that he was, truly one of his allies. And yeah, it's not the most damning stuff that he says, but the fact that he's so eloquent and like very articulate about exactly what happened and has all of this backup information, it just seems like it really kind of sinks Tyrion's ship a bit.
Didn't we learn about this a couple episodes ago, where I think Tyrion was trying to get his witnesses, together, and he's like, well, what about Varys? They're like, well, he's already been called for them. So I guess Tyrion kind of knew that he was going to testify against him.
Mm-hmm. Right. That's true.
And this does leave out a scene that was, again, in the book of, when Varys visits Tyrion in dungeons, and he's like, you're going to back me. Varys is like, I'm going to tell him the truth, because no, my life, sorry, it's kind of one of those. And so, to Luke's point, show-wise, yeah, this is a big hit, but it's not, as Glenn said, not unheard of or unexpected.
Right, and he seemed to take that one a little bit better than the other schmucks, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else? We will move on to Cap 8. Jaime and Tywin. Jaime strikes a deal. We will go to Benji.
That look from Jaime when Tywin said done, like instantly, made me do a literal spit take. Like, he's like, I'll the Leon Night's Watch, and the next day I'll revoke my vows and go to Castle Rock, and Tywin's like, done. And Jaime gives this look, and I'm gonna laugh my ass off. It's like, well, that was easier than I thought it would be.
Right, it's almost like Tywin was just waiting for him to say something like that, and like, well, it'll go any way that it wants to go as far as he gets what he wants.
Yeah, I don't think Tywin changed anything because of what Jaime was saying. Like, he was just like, oh, you're gonna make that offer? Sure, okay. I was gonna do this anyway. Like, let me just, okay, I'm gonna hold you to that because you're an idiot. Like, Jaime, for what his kind of game has been lately, really kind of steps in it here. Like, he's really trying to do like I have these vows, I am taking them as serious as I can, trying to do the best job that I can at being Lord Commander, and he makes this kind of outlandish to him, plea for his brother's life as kind of like a last resort. Like, hey, I'll do all of these things. And Tywin's like, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Not taking predictions really, because I figured this would be settled by the end of this. But I'm writing my notes as this scene's going on, and I'm like, Tywin would not have Tyrion killed. He just won't. Like, he'll be punished, whatever. And then I giggle, and I'm like, yep, see, right here. Great plan, Jaime, you idiot. This was already going to happen, but now there's a bonus. Jaime will leave the King's Guard. So dumb. Like, did he really think his father would have him killed? That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, I agree.
Dumb.
You really wouldn't think that he would kill one of his own, but he's never really liked him anyway, so there's kind of a little bit of doubt that, like, maybe he would do something like that, but yeah, I don't think he would go that far. Luke, do you have anything to add?
No, just Jaime kind of overselling, I think. She's kind of offering too much without really hearing
sweet.
Tywin. No, I mean, it's absolutely in his character to do that for Tyrion.
To save his life, and like he sees the way the trial's going, and it's not looking good as far as Tyrion's concerned. So he's trying to do something in his good grace to save him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it just seems like Jaime kind of comes out a little bit too big of an offer too early.
Yeah.
Like, work up to that.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Exactly. He saw Tywin at the end zone, was waiting for him, so he just chucked it to him.
All right, anybody got anything to add? We will move on to the court. Hashtag Shea Stadium. Cappy. Jaime advises silence. Hashtag drops a whore bomb.
Jeez.
So, Who wants to lead off and talk about the horror bomb?
I'll lead us off, unless
go for
Abby
it.
wants it. So, of all of the testimonies that we've seen, hashtag Shea Stadiums really seems to be the one that's truly chock full of like the most actual lies, like complete fabrications of things. And I mean, there's a lot of twisted truths, twisted minor truths in everyone's, but like everyone else was still like, these are actually things that happened. We saw all these things. Right. This was just littered with no, they
total BS.
None of this happened. Like very, very little of this actually happened. And the stuff that did is even lied on the way it was actually done. It's not just here are the words that were said. It's also, and he forced me to call him my lion. They don't say the lion, but they
No, they do the lion.
They do the lion, and he did all these things to me. Like it's just
right. And
get out of here.
At this point, like the last that we heard of her was she was on a ship and she was on her way out. Finally, and now we see her back in the mix, and so she must have got some kind of deal, to testify against him. But to move on with the horror wagon, Abby, go ahead.
What a whore!
A Jojen trade and a whore wagon.
What? Yeah, the whore wagon. Oh, what a fucking whore! Like, I wanted to slap her watching this, and I don't know. I just relished in the first time watching this how angry I was. Because I feel like right here is where I can see where all your hate, not all your hate, but like some of maybe the already not liking Shay came from. Mm-hmm. Because I will never be able to rewatch this show again without having that undertone of how I feel for her right here. Mm-hmm. This will guide me through any rewatch I do, because what a whore.
And I feel like we really did try to not overdo it, and like it bled through, obviously, but like I know I went in with the mentality I was like, okay, I'm just trying to stay basically in Abby's headspace of what we know, and even with that, like it was still really, really frustrating, but it's impossible to turn it off. Sorry, go ahead, Benji. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Look, no, I was saying, even like going to your point, her acting wasn't even good. Like, literally sitting here watching it, trying to, like you said, try to be impartial to a bit point. It just, it
never translated to the screen. It just never translated to the screen. Like, it just was never believable in any portion of it.
Yeah. And so my note with it, though, is I'm glad they did leave out one part, and I noticed this throughout the whole Shay Tyrion build-up, is she never called him my giant of Lannister, because in the books, she calls him my giant of Lannister, my giant, and she uses that to basically make the entire court laugh at him. During
and they do that during this as well. They start laughing at him for some of the things that she says.
Yeah. Yes, but that one was like the meanest, because she puts it as he made me call him that and all that, instead of Lionel, like they switched out Lionel Lannister to Giant.
Yeah. I think Oberyn is the best part of this whole trial when he asks her, well, did I what? Fuck him like it was the last night, like his last night on Earth. I mean,
it's like not really important.
Oberyn just be like, I'm just looking for rumors here. Just give me the juicy details.
I'm here to enjoy myself. Where's the popcorn and the Michael Jackson meme? Like that's Oberyn.
Okay.
Well, like Mace too. You were his what?
What?
Well, he was like, oh my virgin ears to that comment. Oberyn's like just relishing in the seediness of what's going on. He loves it.
Yeah, and then you have like Marjorie, even kind of there's, sitting back, like kind of have a look.
I think, no, see, I perceived Marjorie as being very sympathetic to Tyrion. Like, super, like, I cannot believe this is going on right now. And she does have some background knowledge too, because she knows that he didn't do it. So
you were saying who was being sympathetic?
Marjorie.
Like, right.
There should be a picture of there, and maybe a couple more. No, maybe not. Nope. Hold up. Nope.
In the J's.
Whenever we get there, go back.
There was a Marjorie picture in the last area, in the last caps.
Okay, we ready to move on? Final scene.
Final scene. to all of the kids at home, you should be drinking NA beer because you're not old enough. But for the older kids at home,
A root
Thanks.
beer.
a root
Thanks,
beer.
Lenny. Sorry, I realized that I'm watching on the YouTube, and your cheers was like 30 seconds ago. Whoops.
Oh, my bad.
You're good. No, I
Oh.
was like, oh, thanks. And then never mind, that happened way long time ago.
All right, moving on. Cap J, final scene. Tyrion and Tywin. Tyrion gives a full confession. Abby.
I absolutely love the death glare at hashtag when he says, watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores. It just warmed my soul. I mean, and it, like on a screen, like he looks directly at her for this point. So I liked it. It was good.
All right, Ben.
Well, here's your second Emmy, Mr. Dinklage. He did actually win his second one this year for this season.
This season.
And it has to be this scene. That's why I had a cursory title of for the episode of For Your Consideration. Basically, this is the one they submitted. Like, yeah, we should win this shit. But yeah, I do have
What
the
did he
whole-
win the Emmy for? Like leading
supporting
actor, supporting
Supporting.
actor? That's awesome.
because there's no leading actor in the show, so
billed.
it's all supporting cast. But I do have the whole most of the speech minus that part of the watching your vicious. But I have I saved you. I saved the city and all your worthless lives. I should have let Stannis kill you all. I wish I was the monster you think I am. I wish I had enough poison for the whole pack of you. I would gladly give my life to watch all of you swallow it. And just the facial, like Luke jump a couple pictures, like his facial expressions in it. I think two more.
It was this other way. These
There we
here.
go. You know, when he just pissed. He just fuck you.
Like, foaming at the mouth, angry. Like,
Yeah.
just spitting at the first 3 rows in front of you, mad.
Right, Gallagher crowd needing the cover to cover him.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, yeah, he basically just explains, like, I'm not getting any justice here. Like, so I'm going to put matters into my own hands, and I have not been able to talk, or, like, I've barely been able to say anything without being fucking reprimanded or
Mhm.
whatever. So this is my turn to talk. I'm going to do this the way I want to do it because fuck you, Dad.
hmm I'm really surprised that they let him talk here. You know, like it just seems like every other time they shut him down pretty quick. Like I'm surprised.
Well, Tyler's trying to.
Yeah, they.
Because he said he wanted to give his confession, so I think that's why Tywin was, oh, you want to give your confession? Have at it, Hoss.
hmm
Great.
Yeah, but then he was like, once he started rambling on, Ty was like, Marin Trent, Sir Marin, take him away, take him away. And he just kept going.
Yeah, but the line that definitely resonates with me is the "I wish I was the monster you think I am," and like it's just he knows he just feels so fucked here. Like it just has no chance. Like you guys make me out to be the worst possible fucking thing, and we've got the person that's dead that I'm on trial for was literally the fucking worst. Like
Right.
he sucked and he was fucking
Well,
vicious
Baby demon
and
monkey.
If he was that monster, then all of these crimes or this crime that he's committed would be his. Instead, he's completely opposite and has all the feelings of not a monster. That line that you just picked out there, Luke, I'm like, God, to live that life and be scrutinized that way your entire life and
Mhm.
nobody see you for what you truly are and your good qualities and how much you have like bled and sweated for this city to be treated like it's the perfect way to put exactly what Tyrion's going through.
Mhm.
Emmy worthy, I agree.
yeah, the
Good call, Emmys.
on trial for being a dwarf and
Right.
just not having a
Yeah.
chance for any
Been on
fucking
trial
thing.
for that his whole life.
my entire life. And
Mm.
just
I
feel
think,
for him.
I think it's really interesting. You see Jamie's like reaction to all this, and he's like, before all this, he's like, look, like just at the end of it, confess, you'll go to the wall. It's like the best I could do for you. Like at this point, like it's a pretty good deal, I guess. And then Tyrion just kind of goes rogue, and Jamie's like, are you fucking shitting me?
Like
what are
What?
we doing?
this is the opposite of what we talked
What?
about.
Where did the signals get crossed? I don't understand.
Did I say it wrong?
No.
No! Someone stop him! Jamie walks up with the cane and is like pulling him off stage.
Just like knocks him out.
The music starts playing louder.
Yeah, but then, okay, so the last thing we have, I demand a trial by combat. So that's a pretty big thing, a jumping off point or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Let's talk
And
about
then,
that for
after-
a second or two.
There's like several shots that kind of continue on with everybody's reaction to him saying that.
I've been flipping through 'em a bit.
Trial by combat, you say? We should have seen this coming. I should have seen it coming. I didn't really, but it makes sense.
Yeah, I think Tyrion's just been very generous with the trial by combat card. Like, he knows that he's not going to be really fighting,
Mm-hmm.
but he, in his mind, has some aces up his sleeve of people that will fight for him.
So, can I ask a question?
Sure.
If he loses the trial by combat, correct? He's not actually fighting in this, so he doesn't die. What happens to him then? Does he die?
Dies.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
they,
right.
they will execute him.
He
Execute.
dies
Execution.
when his
Victor or whatever.
his champion.
Okay.
So either two people die or one person.
That is how the rules are
That's
written.
how it's written. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, it's at this point he's had no chance in this farce of a trial. Even Jamie calls it, this is a fucking farce of a trial, and this is going to the trial by wombat is the only way he can truly have any fucking volition on what's going to happen here, right? I mean, this is the only way he can actively try to go against what's happening here. It's
Mhm.
and it's funny because just because you or your champion is a better fighter, like, that's not really justice. Like, if Tyrion was guilty and basically hires Bronn, or in other circumstances has the Mountain fighting for him or whatever, and wins, like, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Like,
Well, I think their big thing is like, well, the gods will
right?
rule, like they'll make a difference in the outcome of this fight just because
Mm-hmm.
he's guilty or not.
Right. The light of the Seven would be with them, and it's just
And
like,
it's all part of the religion.
yeah.
Sometimes religion doesn't make.
But even the
all
Lord
the
of Light
sense in the
follows
world.
that, because we had Hound versus Barrick.
Well, that was still not. It's not really. It's the Seven that do that. It's the religion of the Andals that do that. Beric grew up in that and was very familiar with it, and the Hound is from there, so he Beric allows it, and he's not really fully at that point one of the Lord of Light's men. Like, he doesn't know all the ins and outs. I wouldn't think he didn't go to fancy Lord of Light school.
Finishing school, Florida Light staff.
Right. So he's just going with what's
Lord of Light.
socially acceptable in the kingdom at that point. I think.
Fair.
Right. And so this was the third trial by combat
That we've seen.
that we're gonna have.
Tyrion and the Vale.
And then the
Hound.
one Hound.
Hound
Yeah.
and Beric.
So this would be number 3, I believe. Yeah.
So we shall see. Anybody got anything else?
It's a bold move.
Bold move, Cotton.
We'll see if it pays off. He will not be able to see.
So I guess there's reigns over the credits. Is that pretty much all we need
Reigns
to
of
say?
Castamere. Yeah, just playing Tywin, Tyrion are involved.
Right.
That's about it.
It fits.
Moving on to episode title accuracy: the laws of gods and men.
I'd say that was a pretty big part of this episode.
Yeah.
The whole trial, him deciding to do trial by wombat,
I want that.
Thumbs up over here.
Make it
Thumbs up.
thumbs up decision.
Description accuracy: Stannis and Davos set sail with a new strategy.
Sure.
Yep, they did. Dany meets with supplicants.
Yep, she met with
Sure.
several people.
Tyrion,
202.
Two out of, I want to say it was 219.
200 something. She met with
Two
of them.
hundo plus.
So they only showed 2 of them that we got to meet. There were probably more.
So we saw maybe 0.5% of what she had to deal with that day.
Sure. Another day at the office. Lastly, Tyrion faces down his father in the throne room.
Yeah, I mean, literally, these screenshots right here, facing each other.
They're facing each other. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Alrighty then. Least favorite thing. What was your least favorite thing, Ben?
Hashtag, but it's supposed to be this time. For all the other times, she wasn't supposed to be my least favorite. This time, she is, and
Right.
yeah, she did it well. The one scene she actually did well is the one that everybody hates her the most for.
Right. And then
I agree.
I will agree as well. I Shay's one of my least favorite characters. And for all we knew that she was gone, she was done with the show and hopefully cast off. But now they bring her back, and it's like, God fucking damn it. You gotta be shitting me. Her again, Luke.
I think I'm gonna go ahead and let's make it a clean sweep. That's a pretty rough scene. It's like, for how brutal and vicious this show can get, it's these kinds of things that just leave a different taste in your mouth. It's like, it's just ugly.
Yeah.
I just don't like it.
Do not like it.
She's such a fucking whore. So bad.
All right. Let's move on to our favorite things. What is your favorite thing, Ben?
I confess, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being born. You're not on trial for being a dwarf. Oh, but I am guilty of being a dwarf. I've been on trial for it for my whole fucking life. That scene, that Emmy-winning, speech, just kills it. It hit the facial expressions, the attitude, everything, the way it was written, beautifully done.
All right, Luke.
I'm flipping back through it right now. I kind of had forgotten about this when I did my notes for some reason. I mean, this is only the 43rd episode we've done. There were a lot of really good scenes, though. I really liked Oberyn's scenes. I'm trying to pick one. Let me do Oberyn in the small council. It was just hilarious. Like, am I gonna be the master of something or other? Coins or ships? And Mace realized, actually, I was appointed to Lord Tywin,
That's
and
my job.
it's just,
that's my move.
That's my move. That's my job.
That's my move.
So I'm gonna go Oberyn in the small council.
All right, Abby.
Well, I picked just Oberyn. He was my favorite thing this episode. Him in all his glory. I like that all the points Luke just alluded to, and the council's meeting's always going to be this early. Also, during the testimonies, GBP is like, I had wolfsbane and blah 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 and fire of the most part, whatever the potions and stuff that he had. He's like, okay, man, yeah, we got it. Like, you got a lot of stuff in there. He just moves him along. He's just a badass, there for a good time. Oberyn's my favorite thing this episode.
Yeah, I like Oberyn as well. My favorite thing, though, from the episode, just like the trial by combat. I think Tyrion he knew the deal in place was just what Tywin wanted. Get Tyrion out of there, Jaime, off the Kingsguard, and kind of reclaim, the seat on the house.
Done. Oh, fuck.
I think Tyrion knows it, and it's just one more kind of middle finger to Tywin, I guess, is to just go off script and do something that's just totally gonna jeopardize all of that they had agreed upon, so to speak.
We talked about this.
But yeah, that was my favorite thing. Good episode, I guess. I think one thing kind of different, there wasn't any Stark and or Jon Snow stuff in the episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess if I wanted to nitpick, just a couple storylines left out.
Right. Yeah, I mean, last episode we had 25 minutes of Night's Watch at Craster's, so
Right.
And that included brand time and stuff like that. And we had Arya and Hound for a while as well. Two scenes last episode. So they're definitely trying to not just get, here's a sliver of, here's 5 minutes just to get them in. They'd rather be able to let it breathe when they can actually do it. So
Get a while for a scene to develop instead of, let's just see an update of where everyone's at. And then
I feel like that's all we're getting always with Dany for the most part. It's just like an update. We just get glimpses of her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's effective because she is far away. But I don't know. We don't really dig in there like we do in King's Landing.
Right, and we've kind of touched on that. It seems like it's a little bit of a function of there aren't other characters around there that could accidentally interact with her. We have to develop new characters every single time she meets a new character. It's not like, aside from Barristan, he's the only character that we've seen kind of make the connection, really. So
make the move. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Good episode. Good
epi. Okay, moving on. Other podcasts. Today we're going to talk about roles, plays, and games. Check us out on twitch.tv/roles, plays, and games, and on Twitter at roles, plays, and games. Luke, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So we are starting a video gaming, tabletop gaming, all sorts of things fun, good storytelling in that realm. Arm of the podcast That Family, and this is called the Vodcast that rolls, plays, and games. And we just started last night, where Glenn of House Dog began his replay of Red Dead Redemption on Xbox 360. Played for what we called it 3 different parts, and it was about 7.5 or 8 hours.
Yeah.
So. That's up on its YouTube channel, also on the Twitch channel. We're gonna have other people playing other games, but we'll try to track through and keep playlists of whenever Glenn's playing Red Dead. It'll be in a full series that you can go back and catch up on that story before the new Red Dead Redemption 2 comes out in October, where I think Benji might be playing that one. So got a lot of fun new games coming up, and we're gonna do some replays of old games beforehand.
Right, and I don't think there's like a set thing. It's just like a whatever we want it to be.
Yeah, and it's
doing.
not going to be scheduled. It's just going to be, hey, I'm playing. So definitely follow that on Twitter. Go ahead, Benj. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just saying, who's ever up to play, that night or, whatever, whoever wants to, we're going to jump on and stream and have some fun.
Yeah, and technically we could stream 2 at a time. If 2 people want to play at the same time, we can run it on the Twitch channel and on its live streaming YouTube channel. So we could technically have 2 games going simultaneously.
Well, if you want to win, just play against Go Home Dirty. Just saying.
Go home.
But
Go
we
home,
will in
Dirty.
future do more than just video games. If they were to do some kind of role-playing tabletop games, it's just going to be whoever can get involved and play it by ear a little bit. But we're going to try to do a lot of different variety of fun things there.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll play Clue sometime.
Play some Clue.
Ooh, I like Clue.
We'll play a little Risk.
Risk.
I do have Game of Thrones Risk as well. So
Can I be Tywin Lannisters?
no.
No, absolutely not.
Maybe.
I quit. I'm taking my ball and going home.
Maybe. So yeah, check out the Twitter for @RollsPlaysGames for updates along the way.
Oh no.
Sounds good. All right, moving on. Unless you guys want to talk about Ronda Rousey, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we're in a debate here.
Yeah, so just for the folks at home, Ronda Rousey just won the WWE Women's Raw Championship. Yes, I am watching that as I'm streaming this as well. So it's pretty interesting.
You're just like wrapping around the nose.
I kind of want to I kind of want to share the screen on it, but that's okay. They're actively adding notes. It's like
All
snaking around the other preset
The
boxes.
space between.
Become a follower on Patreon. You can see our note battle today.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
Pretty epic. So, why don't we go to our first time watcher on the wall pitch, Abby?
All right. So, a trial by combat, you say. Who's gonna fight? I'm going to guess not Jamie. Mostly because, he's a southpaw now and not as effective as he used to be. And Cersei will not chance anything, so she's not going to call on Jamie just in case he would lose. Also, I think that, I'm blanking. Tyrion would say, yes, I'd like you to fight for me, Jamie, but, let's be real here. So I'm thinking the strongest, biggest guy that the Lannisters or King's Landing has to be the Mountain, even though I don't know if I've seen him in King's Landing. But, we do know that he is Tywin's guy or whatever. So I'm going to guess it's the Mountain versus Bronn. But I feel like this is very, very, that's what's going to happen. That's what I'm going to assume. So maybe I'll be wrong. I don't know. Could be exciting. Tyrion's champion wins is my second prediction. Mostly because, I believe this, how I am not a, fan before this of this show. I do have a Facebook, so I'm pretty sure he's in all the seasons. So that's where my prediction comes from. Sorry.
Hey, no spoilers, Facebook.
I try not to
Fucking
get
hell.
spoiled, but I'm pretty sure he's still there. So, number 3.
We have seen Beric be resurrected, so
Yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see. I think he's gonna win. And if it is Bronn who fights for him, that's a must. Love Bronn. He can't die. Ooh, you're one good-looking son of a bitch. Don't you ever die. So, we talk about desire here, and when Oberyn asks him, well, what do you desire or what do you want? We see Varys looking at the throne. Maybe we have a King Varys. That would be interesting. King Varys would be cool. And speculation number 4, I think Ramsay is taking Reek to Pike. That's why he needs to be Theon Greyjoy. I don't know. I just think he's going to go to Pike.
Okay.
Okay, he is going to Pike. Write that down. So that is what's going to happen, definitely. Now we're going to move on to our house name, word, sigil, all that jazz. I will start off. I'm Glenn of House Dog. House words, you miss 99% of the shots you don't take. House Sidge, Spuds McKenz with a Wayne Gretzky number 99 jersey on. Famous house ancestor is the Duff. And my personal Twitter is @PopsicleStan. Benji.
I am Sly of House McLean. Our house words, it's dangerous to drink alone. Our house sigil is 3 gold triangles on a field of red and black. My famous house ancestor is my great uncle John, the savior of winter celebrations. And you can find me on Twitter @Sly McLean. Final thoughts is great episode. Understand why Peter got the Emmy this year.
Luke.
I am Lucan of House Blackmead. House words, ours is the drink. We have an obsidian black chalice on a gold and blue checky background. Our famous ancestor is Ashmere Rivers. You may end up learning more about him in the vodcast that rolls, plays, and games, so stay tuned there. My personal Twitter is @LucaFerocious. Final thoughts on this episode. Oberyn was pretty damn sexy.
Sexy,
Kind of. Pretty damn sexy, kind of, if you like that kind of thing.
All right, Gerd.
Gerd.
Oh, God. It's getting even better.
With Gerds and way.
House Condescension. There we go. I am Gertie of House Condescension. We don't quit are our words. Our sigil is a field of white with a raven sitting atop an up-pointed black chevron. My famous ancestor is Casey Jones, and you can find me on Twitter @GoHomeGertie. My final thoughts are, fuck, you really are a whore.
What a whore.
What a whore.
Welcome to the club.
Whore. The biggest whore.
Alrighty then. Become a Patreon to get access to our epilogue episode coming up next with our wonderful guests.
Just if it's on the teleprompter, you gotta read it.
Fucking
Patreon.com
Ron Burgundy.
/StayImaginary. For all the ways you can help keep our beer bank full, check out thepodcastthat.com/support us.
So some more fun things coming to the Support Us page on our TeePublic store, which you can get to through the Support Us branch of our website, is we are adding our house sigils to merchandise that you can perch soon.
Merch that you can perch.
It is merchable. So look out for that, and definitely follow us on the tweets to find out when that goes live.
Follow us on Twitter @KnowAndDrink. Send us a digital raven, knowandDrink@gmail.com. Subscribe, like, rate, and leave comments on iTunes and YouTube. And until next time,
I still don't know, so I'll just drink.
as always, don't turn your back on the Wolfpack.
As always, winter is coming, and so am I.
And I'll remember to say, as always, like Abby didn't, but as always, stay imaginary.
How do you know this?
That's what I do. I drink and I know things.